Hi students, and welcome to today's live IELTS class. My name is Adrian and I'm streaming to you from beautiful Victoria here on the west coast of Canada. I hope everybody is having a great weekend so far. I hope that you're finding some time to relax and enjoy life, and you're also staying healthy and happy. Students, this lesson is IELTS questions and answers for more band scores. So this is a special class that I host once every couple of weeks for our channel members. This is a members chat class, and it gives a chance for our members to ask me questions about the IELTS exam, English language, about immigrating, moving to an English-speaking country, going to university or university abroad. I am a certified British Council agent, and I have over 2 decades of English speaking teaching experience, as well as speaking multiple languages myself. So I'm very happy to answer questions that you have, and if I don't have the answers, I can find them for you. So to join this chat, become a member. To become a member, click the join button next to the subscribe button on our YouTube channel. This lesson, everyone, is brought to you by aehelp.com for academic IELTS. Visit us there. For the general IELTS, check us out at gieltshelp.com. On both of those websites, we have tons of materials to answer your questions and help you improve your IELTS score. All you have to do is click this big Join Now button to get our premium IELTS package. And you can use the discount code IGET9 for a 30% discount off the premium package. That's available for the next 2 days only. General IELTS, it looks like this, green background. Click that big Join Now button. When you do, you'll have a My Student account. In that My Student account, you have computer-based practice exams. You have a full interactive course. You have exam books, study plans. You have over 100 hours of lesson videos. So you've got lots and lots of resources there. And then you also have the blog and the forum at the top that will help you answer lots of questions. Welcome, Audrey, Uskov. Good to have you in the class. Again, this is a question and answer session. So members, start thinking about your questions for today's class. You can get our apps, Academic IELTS Help, General IELTS Help, from our app stores, and join us on Instagram, IELTS_AE Help and GIELTS Help. Join now. It's a great time to start learning and improving for your test. Use this code. All right, everyone. If you have got questions, you can always send me an email as well. It's adrian@aehelp.com. And for live classes, we've got question and answer session now, followed by speaking part 3 for subscribers. Then no class 20th to the 22nd, and then back on the 23rd with speaking part 1. After that, we've got lots of classes throughout the week, so make sure to subscribe and join these classes. All right, let's get to answering some questions. So again, today the goal is to answer some questions from our members. And we're going to do this like we did a couple of weeks ago. This is kind of a newer format where you can ask your question in the chat, or you can ask using your voice through the website. So I will also start the website up here, and you can actually call me and ask me questions. So I'm gonna even put my headset on, getting ready for that. Hi Sanjay, I see more and more members joining in now. So again, I will answer your questions in the order I see them. And if I see that there are some connections between questions, so some of you are asking about similar ideas, I'll make those connections. Make sure to take notes of the answers that I'm giving you, and then of course practice. And if you don't get an answer, or somehow I miss your question, again, just send me an email to adrian@aehelp.com. Okay, everyone, so to volunteer for the live speaking, to volunteer to ask a question, okay, all you have to do is you have to register a free or paid account at aehelp.com, log into your My Student account, click the Student Partner Speaking, enable your microphone, keep the window open, and then message Master with I have a question. Okay, I'll show you how to do that. So again, here's the website. Okay, let me go back one step with the academic website. So this is the academic website here. All right, welcome, May. So members, again, question and answer class. You can ask me questions. So create an account by clicking the join now or the try demo button, okay, and then click my student account. In your my student account, you have this student partner speaking, and everybody who's watching, we will be using this in the next class also for speaking part 3. So click on this student partner speaking. I accept, start speaking, and then you will see lots of people in here, and you'll see Master in here as well, and you will be able to ask me some questions in here, okay? And for everybody watching, this is a members chat class, so first and foremost, I am looking for members who are asking questions in here. And you can also ask me questions through the chat. So I will show you what I mean by that. Okay. So here we have our chat. You see people chatting with me here. Welcome, Cass. And then here, let's jump over to our syllabus. Okay. You can ask me some questions, and I see that Sanjay is already asking me a question here. So let me give Sanjay an answer to this question. Okay, so here's Sanjay's question. All right. Okay, so Sanjay's question is this one here, and it's a good one. It's about writing task 2. So Sanjay's asking, what type of example, survey, or daily life I can use in task 2 writing? Please give me some samples. Yeah, okay. So technically speaking, Sanjay, your example should always reflect the voice of your essay, and whether you're using a survey or an example from your own life depends on the question, okay? So it depends. So the answer is this depends on the question. A, if the question is asking for examples from your experience, then you should use the first person voice of the author, which means the personal voice. Okay, so it's also called the personal subjective voice. That uses I. Okay. For example, we looked at that essay a little bit earlier this week about people who choose to have children later in life. So if that question asks you, Sanjay, use examples from your own experience, then you could say an example like, my parents had me in their 30s after they both got jobs as a doctor and lawyer. As a result, I had a very high quality of life during childhood, and I am successful today. Okay, so you could use an example like that. All right, Prabjit, I see that you joined us on our general IELTS channel. Meanwhile, great, welcome aboard. You can ask a question as well, of course. Okay, so there's the example. So this one would be using I, because the question is asking use examples. But if it's not, and this week's question actually did not ask us for a personal example, then you can use a pretend survey or another type of example like the one that we used in the essay. So if the question, and by question we mean the task 2 writing question. Okay, so if the question does not ask for your personal opinion, then it's best to use the third person voice of the author. It's called the objective voice of the author, the general truth, and give a survey type or a general type of example. So if the question does not ask for personal opinion, use the third person author's voice, also called the objective voice, which does not use I or you, so it doesn't speak directly to the reader or give personal opinion from myself. Okay. But gives the general truth instead. Okay, so you could, for example, do something, Sanjay, like a recent psychology or sociology might be a little bit better here at Stanford University revealed that having children between 35 and 40 or 5 and 40 leads to a 70% improvement in life quality measured by socioeconomic status. Okay, socioeconomic status is basically your wealth in society, so how much money and how well established you are financially in society. So again, students, while I'm giving you answers in these examples, if you're catching new words, make sure to write those down, okay? So a recent sociology study at Stanford University revealed that having children between 35 and 40 leads to a 70% improvement in life quality measured by socioeconomic status. And then there you go. Sanjay, I hope that answers your question. Okay, let me know if that's clear. All right, so whether you're giving a personal opinion in a nutshell, okay, so in summary, whether you're giving a personal opinion or an objective opinion depends on the question. Pay careful attention to the question and use the voice of your essay accordingly. Be familiar with first, second, third person voice in writing. Understand what these mean and how to use them. It's a very important and fundamental part of writing, not just for IELTS, but in general. Okay. All right, Audrey, Cass. I see that you have some more questions, which is great. Okay. Does anybody want to ask me their question using the chat? I would love to hear your voice, everyone. So, Audrey, Cass, I see your questions. Do you want to maybe ping me in the website and then ask me there? Okay, Sanjay, meanwhile, I see that you got what I said. Because it would be nice for you to not only ask the question, but practice your speaking at the same time. Also, you can ask me a further question in conversation, which is a little bit trickier to do writing, right? So, Audrey, same thing. If you have your microphone, speaker available, log into the website and ping me there. Otherwise, I will answer your question eventually through the chat as well, but I'd like to, hear your question here as well. I think it's a bit more exciting. Okay, I see Cass now, so let me reach out to Cass. Hello, Cassandra. I cannot hear you. So maybe something is not right.
Hello, sir.
Oh, now I can hear you, Cassandra. Okay.
Yes.
Perfect.
Okay, sir.
Maybe the microphone was not connected on your end. How are you doing, Cassandra?
I'm doing great. How about you, sir?
Yeah, I'm doing fantastic. Had a great night's sleep, so lots of energy. So doing well. Got a hamster for my daughter yesterday, so she's really happy. Yeah.
Wow, that's great.
Yeah, so she's happy. Cassandra, you have a question. I can see it. Can you please ask me the question verbally so everybody can hear it?
Sir, I know it's funny. My first question is it for you, sir? Is it better to book the speaking after the 3 areas, or vice versa?
Okay, yeah, that's a really good question. So basically, Cass, let me just reiterate your question. So the IELTS exam, of course, is made up of basically 2 different sessions. One session is the 3-hour sit down part where you have to do the listening, reading, writing. And then the other session, of course, is the speaking, where you have that 12 to 15 minute interview, which is actually a bit longer because you're registering 20 minutes before, plus you should show up an hour before. So that part also takes about, ideally, like an hour and 20 minutes from start to finish, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I get this question in different ways from people, like when should I do the speaking relative to the sit down portion. From my experience and from what I have heard from other students as well, and using psychology as well, Cass, the best is to make sure that they're on different days if possible. So if you can have your listening, reading, writing on one day and then you're speaking on another day, either the day before or the day after, that's ideal. So sometimes what happens is students end up having these on the same day, like they'll have those.
Yes, here in Manila, I saw dates in the website of the British Council. It's always the same day.
Yeah, so sometimes students have the option for a different day, and like what you just said, sometimes they don't. So sometimes you do have to have it on the same day, right?
Yes.
If you're stuck, and this is why it's good that you called me instead of typing. So if you're stuck having to do it on the same day, then ideally you have at least a couple hours between the sit down and the speaking, so they're not right after each other, because that's very stressful. The mind is fatigued and you're almost like doing a biathlon where you have to bike for 50 kilometers and then do another 10 kilometers running, right? So the brain also gets exhausted, so you want to have time between. In this case, if you have it on the same day, I would say before the sit down is better. So having your speaking before you do the sit down is better. Okay.
Okay.
The reason I say that is because speaking actually demands the most energy, especially when you're doing an exam like this. It's fast, it's real time, and your brain has to really be quick and dynamic, right? If you think about it, the listening, the reading, the writing, you have a bit more time. The brain has a bit more time to process, a bit more time to kind of go back, rethink, revisit. But when you're speaking, it's fast. It's like speed chess. You're just hitting the clock, giving the answer. So you want the most energy for that. Okay.
Okay.
And to take it one step further, Cass, ideally, like let's say that your sit down exam starts at 1 p.m.
Yes.
Okay. Then you'd want to do your speaking at around 10 a.m.
Okay. Here it started. The time. For the speaking, if in the morning it's 9 a.m. here.
Yeah. So I would go for a little bit later. And let me tell you why. Because psychology studies have proven, I read a very interesting article on this in university, that the human brain on average takes about 3 hours after waking up to reach its peak performance. So if you had a good night's sleep, and let's say that you woke up at 7 a.m., then your brain begins to function optimally at its maximum capacity from around 10:30 to about 1 o'clock.
Okay.
And to prove this, big companies, large corporations, tend to have meetings, especially important meetings like board meetings, executive meetings, at 10, 11 o'clock in the morning because they follow this research. So they want maximum performance during their very important meetings where they make big decisions. So they tend to schedule them for 10, 11 in the morning. Okay. All right. So yeah, same day, 10 a.m. speaking, then do the sit down after. Okay.
Okay. And then I have another question.
Yeah.
What are some preparation that I can do like days before, like 5 days before the exam, or 3 days before?
What are some exercises that you should do?
Yes, and I don't know if you're already tackled this before, because I haven't watched any videos.
Oh no,
of
it's
that.
okay. And there are always people asking the same questions. It's absolutely fine, Cass. So firstly, definitely about 3 days before your official exam, make sure to do a timed full exam. So where you sit down, you have a private, quiet space. You tell everybody not to bother you. You're simulating the real exam. And you sit down and you go through the exam exactly the same as what you will experience. So you do the listening, then you move to the reading for an hour, and then you do the writing for 1 hour, and you simulate the actual exam. Then do the speaking a couple hours before or a couple hours after. Record yourself and just really become familiar with doing a full exam under that time pressure. So that's my most important tip.
Okay.
And then the other tip is use English. So speak English as much as possible in the week leading up to the exam. Okay. Right. Tell everybody, you've got a big exam coming up. It's a life changer. Like literally, I tell people to say to their family and friends, like, this exam will change my life. If I get a really good score on it, it will open up a lot of doors. So please speak to me in English. As weird as it may sound, speak to me in English. Okay. So tell people that. All right.
Okay. Thank you.
You're very welcome, Cass. Great questions. Thanks for volunteering and asking.
Thank you. Bye-bye. See you later.
See you later. Bye. Okay, so that was Cass, and Cass called. See, when you call, one of the big advantages is that you can ask me follow-up questions and you can get your answers a little bit faster. So members, I would like to see you in the chat, okay, calling me. All right. Okay, so Ali, I see that you wrote your computer-based exam today. So let me ask you a question then, Ali, because I see a question from Audrey, okay? And I'm going to answer that question from Audrey in the chat. So I see your question up there, Audrey. And I also see Ali Hatim saying that I wrote my computer-based exam. So Ali, I'm going to ask you if you can share your exam experience with us a little bit in today's live class. Maybe you can go on the website and call me, and then we can chat about it. That would be great. If not, we can do it through Ali. So if you go to the website, I'm going to answer while you think about the exam and what you did and what your experience was. I'm going to answer Audrey's question here real quick. Okay. So Audrey is asking. Yeah, it's an interesting question, Audrey. I see it. Okay. All right. Okay, so Audrey is asking using articles. So use of articles an, and the. I use them sometimes, not currently. How to improve this? Okay, I'm just going to, I'm going to think about your question as how to improve using articles. Okay, firstly, Audrey, don't worry about it too much. Don't make mistakes using articles. The rule in English writing, okay, so the rule in good essay writing is to minimize the use of articles an, and the. Okay, so that means that when a professor, like if you're in an English literature class or such, then when you're writing a research paper for your master's or your PhD, and it has to be really, really top quality, then you do have to edit and proofread and remove all of the unnecessary an, and the. People do tend to overuse articles, okay? So people tend to overuse articles an, the, and the. And it's tricky sometimes to know when you can eliminate these articles and not use them. Okay, especially the is often overused, Audrey. So it's tricky to know when when you shouldn't. There's no perfect approach because we use these articles to emphasize words as well. Like the day I went to school was especially unique because of the people that were there. And now, do I need the in both cases? No, I could say because of people that were there. But if I want to emphasize those people, then I might use the article anyway. So it is up to the author's choice, but generally speaking, we want to minimize it. So you should edit your writing to eliminate unnecessary articles. Software can help you with that. Okay, so modern day software like Microsoft Word and Grammarly are actually pretty good at eliminating unnecessary articles. Okay, so modern day software like Microsoft Word 365 and Grammarly are pretty good at this. Okay, also you can get peer review. Okay, so give it to someone else and say, hey, could you just read this real quick and check to see if I'm missing any articles, misusing any articles, or if I'm using articles unnecessarily. Prabjits Singh, I see that you're in here as well, and I do see your question in the general IELTS chat as well. So thank you for becoming a member of both of our channels. Okay, and I will answer that question as well. Okay, Prabjit, so give me a moment. All right. And Audrey, hopefully that's a point in the right direction. Okay. Prabjit, before I get to your question, I'm going to see if Ali has joined the chat here. And if we can reach out to Ali. Okay, Ali, I think you're under Hatim, right? Let me send you a message here. Oh, yeah, Ali's there. Okay, I'm going to call you. So I will call you. All right, Ali. We're gonna get first-hand account of IELTS exam today. Cool. I'm excited. Hello, Ali. I can hear that you picked up, and I even heard a little bit of noise. Can you hear me? Ali, are you there? My good man. I see that you can hear me, and I hear a little bit of static from your side as well. But I don't hear your voice. Can you check your microphone settings? In your browser, you should be able to check your microphone settings, and then if it's not enabled, you should be able to enable your microphone. If you have a headset, maybe, Ali, that would be super helpful. Especially if you're on a mobile phone. Or if you're driving, Ali, please let me know too. I don't want to distract you. And that's for everybody, okay? If you're driving, please do not use the live chat, okay? Yeah. Okay, you're at work and you don't have headphones. Okay, yeah, no worries, Ali. I'll keep this page open, and then when you're ready, give me a call back, okay? So we'll be here for a little bit longer. Okay, cool. I see that you're hearing me. Okay, so when you're ready. All right, so hopefully we'll get a call back from Ali, and maybe if not today, then a little bit later on. Okay, all right. All right, so let's see, Prabjit is asking some questions as well here. Let me grab your question, Prabjit, okay? All right. So here we go. This is Prabjit's question here. All right. So Prabjit is asking this. Is there any disadvantage of using a reading material from other sources than Cambridge books, since I face difficulties to solve readings from other sources? Meanwhile, I got 36 to 37 correct on Cambridge. Okay, good question, Prabjit. So the accuracy of IELTS materials, yeah, you have to be very careful. So the answer here, Prabjit, is you have to be very careful. Okay, so you must be very careful with the materials that you use to prepare for IELTS. Firstly, you have to make sure that you're using, the general if you're studying for the general exam, or the academic if you're studying for the academic. Don't mix them, especially the reading, because they're very different, okay? So make sure to use the right module, okay? I know that sounds silly to say, but you'd be surprised. Sometimes we get people using general IELTS modules to study for the academic, and then they're in shock when they get to the actual exam. So make sure to use the right module, general or academic, okay, depending on which one you registered for, on which one you need, and will do. All right. So firstly, of course, pay attention to that. Next, from experience, okay, so I'll give you a little bit of my experience with materials that we have seen, and this is a big reason why we decided to develop our own materials. So if you go to the website at ahelp.com or gltshelp.com, and then you go to IELTS exams workbooks, then here you can download exam 1. Basically we have 6 exams. They're exactly kind of like Cambridge. Cambridge makes, so Cambridge ESOL exam. ESOL means like the Examination Board of England. So Cambridge ESOL makes IELTS exams for British Council and IDP to use. So books basically 10 to 16 are past IELTS exams that have been turned into books. Okay, so if you're using Cambridge books, especially 10 to 16, if you start using books that are older than 10, you get into older versions of the IELTS that aren't up to date. Okay. And they can be a little bit different in difficulty and so forth. Okay, so Cambridge ESOL makes IELTS exams, so using Cambridge books 10 to 16 are great. Okay, our exams at ahelp.com and gltshelp.com are rigorously tested to match these exams. Okay. According to our experience, okay, so according to our experience, materials by Barron's IELTS, British Council samples tend to be much easier than the real IELTS exam. Okay, and another big producer of IELTS is Longman. Longman IELTS materials tend to be different in appearance and format than the real IELTS. So, you know, the question here is, are they useful materials? Yeah, I mean, I think they still have utility. They can still be useful to help you learn English and help you get some ideas and vocabulary for the IELTS. But if you're using some of these materials, then you certainly might be in for a surprise when it comes to the real IELTS exam. Usually, Prabjit, the problem isn't that the materials are harder than the real IELTS exam. It's that they're easier, okay? If the materials are a little bit harder than the real IELTS exam, that's not necessarily a bad situation, because if you can do them, then you'll do better on the IELTS. The problem is when you're using materials which are easier, okay? The bigger problem is when students use easier materials than the real IELTS. That's why sometimes students say our materials seem sometimes a little bit harder, but then other students say, no, not at all. They had an IELTS exam that was just as hard or maybe harder. We would rather caution on the side of having slightly more challenging materials than easy materials, because harder materials can get you prepared for the IELTS. Easier materials can't, and that's a really important point. Is everybody picking that up? Okay. That's a very important tip that I just told you there. And unfortunately, some companies, they make easier materials because they want students to feel good, and they want students to buy their materials thinking that, oh, I can do this, this is great. But then, of course, the downside is when they get to the real exam and they're surprised by these more challenging questions and vocabulary and grammar, then they're in a state of shock, and that's really disappointing. So that's a bigger problem. That's what I'm saying. The bigger problem is when students use easier materials than the real IELTS and are shocked by the real test. Yeah. Okay. Cass says thumbs up. All right. So again, really good question, Prabjot. If you're finding materials that are a little bit more challenging, that's not necessarily bad. Spend more time on them, learn that vocabulary, learn to do them. If you score lower on them, like you get 25 out of 40 or 27 out of 40, that's okay. You'll get that much better of a score on the real exam, okay? Prabjot, does that answer your question? Hopefully it does. Okay, Andrea's giving me a thumbs up as well. Good, yeah. So challenge yourself. The materials should be appropriate for you. I mean, it's not good to have materials where you completely don't understand it. But when you're doing the IELTS, you shouldn't have that situation. I mean, if you're going for a band 6.5, then you should be able to understand just about any IELTS material that you come across, okay? If you don't, then you might need to go back and look at just some more general English practice before you get into IELTS itself, okay? All right. Pravasha, I see that you've got some questions as well, which is great. Okay. Let's see if anybody has come up in the chat to ask me some questions, okay? Okay. Yeah, okay, so nobody in here, but maybe if Vitalina is hanging out here, I will give Vitalina a chance for a question. Let me just check how we're doing on time. Yeah, okay. So Pravasha is asking a question here as well. Let me just grab that. So this is a common situation as well. Okay, let me see the full extent of this question. Okay, so this is Pravasha's question here. I have a question for listening. Doing listening lessons, solving multiple choice questions, what strategies can I use? I always have a mistake in multiple choice questions. Yeah, I've talked about that, Pravasha, quite a bit. So you have a two-part question here. For multiple choice questions, do not just stare at the answers hoping the right one will jump out. Instead, you have to focus on the question. Okay, interpret the question as a statement. I gave some examples of this, Pravasha, in our listening class earlier this week. So if you missed that class, go back and check that live class from this week. It was listening part 3 and 4, and I'm pretty sure I actually spoke directly about multiple choice questions there as well. So interpret the question as a statement. Take notes if you have to. Okay, and then from the notes, match the correct answer. Okay. All right. So, and in the second half of your question here, Pravasha. So, while getting to part 4, I lose my concentration. I always miss 1 or 2 answers. Any trick for what I can do for that? Yeah, so really visualize, Pravasha. Okay, so really focus on visualizing the context of part 4. So if part 4 is about turtles, then see yourself swimming with the turtles. So have a drink of water. Okay, have a drink of water. You should have water with you during the exam. Having a drink of water can help you to kind of hydrate and refocus. Okay, I do that during these live classes as well. So have a drink of water. after part 3, take a deep breath and see the information. Perhaps if you're doing the paper-based, look away from the paper, look away from the computer for 3 seconds. Doing paper-based, look away from the paper for 3 seconds, or look away from the monitor if you are doing the computer based exam. Okay, so just take your eyes off of it. 3 seconds, 1, 2, 3, and then look again and focus. So those are just kind of some tips through behavioral psychology that could help you to get refocused. Okay, all right, hopefully that will help you to stay concentrating on the listening. Yeah, definitely don't lose yourself in part 4. Stay focused throughout. Make sure you have a good night's sleep before you go to your exam. Have a healthy breakfast so that you've got energy to stay on track. Okay. All right. So let's see. Okay. Let's take a question from here. All right. Let's see if Vitalina's here. I don't think Vitalina's a member, but we'll give a chance to a non-member for one question. Encourage that. Okay. Are you here, Vitalina? Let's see if we can get one last kind of verbal interaction here through our chat. If Vitalina's here. Okay. Can I call you? Okay. Hi, Vitalina.
Hello.
How are you doing?
I'm pretty well. What about you?
Yeah, I'm doing great also. Where are you, Vitalina, may I ask?
I live in Belarus.
In Belarus. Awesome.
Yeah, like near Russia.
Yes, I know where Belarus is. I have a pretty good idea. All right, Vitalina, so I see that you had a question about coherence. Would you mind asking me verbally?
Well, yeah, sure. I have some problems with coherence, especially in writing part, and that's a matter which really worries me.
Okay, sure. Yeah, so coherent writing is challenging. It's a challenge that we all deal with depending on the context. For coherence, firstly, you really have to be very clear on standard essay structure. Okay. So my first question to you, Vitalina, is are you familiar with the 4 different styles of writing, like persuasive, expository, narrative, and descriptive?
Well, I'm not really sure, but I have watched all of your videos on premium account.
Okay.
So I believe that I know quite much about it.
Okay, good. Yeah. So descriptive writing is kind of like the father of all writing styles. And it's kind of what English teachers start with in Canada, US, when they introduce essay writing to students at around grade 6, 7, and they basically start teaching the principles of descriptive writing. And then the first assignments are usually like write an essay, a 1-page essay about your house that describes your house. And then students will write their essays, and then the teacher will critique the essays, and they learn the different tools of descriptive writing, like figurative language, personification, using metaphors, similes, and so on. Okay, so creating visual language through writing, for instance. Okay, so one way to improve the coherence without going into 10 years of of essay writing, so one way to improve your coherence is kind of to go back to these foundations of writing principles and revisit them, and then think about how you can use these tools, these what's called literary devices. Okay, let me put this into the chat here. So they're called literary devices. And learning and practicing literary devices can really help you to improve your descriptive writing technique, okay, which can improve your coherence. Okay, and it's a great way to pick up vocabulary. Is that clear so far, Vitalina?
Yeah,
Okay.
thank you a lot. And what about reading? Can reading helps with my writing part?
Yes, it can. And for the IELTS specifically, may I ask, are you doing the academic or general versions of the IELTS?
Yeah, it's academic.
You're doing the academic, yeah. So you have to read text that is the same style. So task 1 in the academic is expository writing, and task 2 is persuasive. Okay, so if you're, or not if, but when you're doing reading, read essays from authors in these styles. So specifically, search for reading materials which are these kinds of styles. What's your major in school?
Well, I'm not studying, but I would like to be a teacher of English.
Okay. All right. Then for you, it's quite open because, yeah. So, but what I would do, I mean, expository and persuasive writing often, well, especially expository, can be quite dry. Expository writing is like research papers, basically, where you're reading about research studies. But if you have an area of interest, like let's say that you're interested in, I don't know, turtles or something, then you can read expository writing on turtles, on the life cycles of turtles, or persuasive writing about what we can do to preserve turtles or something like that. These are just examples, right? But what I'm saying here importantly is to search for reading materials that are these types of writing. So if you're reading a storybook, like a novel that talks about the magical journey of, like Finding Nemo, for example. Do you know that cartoon, Finding Nemo? So if you're reading a book like that, it's a narrative piece. Now, a narrative piece would help you for task 1 general letter writing, but it's not going to help you so much for expository or persuasive writing. Does that make sense?
Yeah, sure. I see your point.
Okay, so for example, like let me give you a little bit more help here. Read short argumentative essays for task 2. Okay, where somebody's arguing a point. Okay. All right, so that kind of reading will help. And one last tip for coherence. When you finish writing an essay and then you read it again, really try to get inside the mind of your reader and think about questions that your reader might have while they're reading your essay. So one of the very common mistakes that we see with coherence in a lot of candidates' writing is they have missing elements that connect ideas. So they tend to assume that the reader knows what the writer is thinking, and then they jump a point and they lose the reader. Do you see what I mean? So one way that you can check that too is if you have a friend or a family member, you can give them the writing after you're finished and say, hey, can you read this and please tell me what I'm trying to tell you?
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. And if they tell you something very different than what you're trying to tell them, it definitely means you're having an issue with coherence, and you have to ask them why. What am I missing? And then maybe they'll say, whoa, I didn't realize that you meant that. And then you'll realize, oh, okay, these are kind of the pieces that I think the other person knows, but they don't really know. Okay.
Yeah, sure. I
Okay, so
understand it.
all right. So use other people. It's a good way to figure out your coherence. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. Thank you, Vitalina. See you in class.
Yeah, see ya.
Okay,
Bye-bye.
bye. Okay, so that was Vitalina. And everyone, I'm going to stop there for this question and answer session. I would like to thank all of the people who asked me questions today. It's unfortunate that we didn't get a hold of Ali because Ali's at work right now. But maybe Ali will show up next class because we have a Speaking Part 3 class coming up next where I will be asking Speaking Part 3 questions, and we'll take lots of volunteers on this chat interface. So come back for that, and hopefully Ali will be here, and then I will have a chance to just speak with him for 1 or 2 minutes and figure out exactly what happened in his exam today, and that should help other students as well. So everyone watching, aehelp.com for academic IELTS. That's where we were with the chat. GIELTShelp.com for general IELTS. Use the code IGET9 for a 30% discount off of our premium IELTS package. Again, it's a one-time payment for lifetime access, everyone, and this discount code expires in 2 days. So go to the website, go to the main page here, click this big red button that's just above my head, use coupon code IGET9, and you're off to the races. Once again, thank you everyone for being with me. I will be back in 30 minutes with speaking Part 3, which will be a continuation on the topic of Speaking Part 2 that we covered yesterday. It was about a person good with money. So this will be managing money and money finances. So who knows, we might even get some other useful information for our financial well-being. I will see everybody there. I'm Adrian. I'm signing out for now. Bye.